The crystal chandeliers of the grand mansion shimmered like frozen stars, but inside Alina's heart, there was only darkness. Once, her family had been respected and wealthy. Her father owned a successful company, her mother was admired in high society, and Alina lived a life filled with dreams. But everything collapsed in one cruel year. Her father's business failed, debts swallowed their home, and the people who once praised them turned their backs. Desperation pushed her father to make a terrible decision. "You must marry him," he said one night, his voice trembling with shame. "Who?" Alina whispered. "Damien Blackwood." The name felt like ice. Damien Blackwood was known as a powerful, ruthless billionaire. People feared him. Rumors said he had no heart, no mercy, and no love for anyone. But he had offered to clear her family's debts, on one condition: Alina would become his wife. Alina felt trapped. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply nodded. Because she knew, if she refused, her family would be destroyed. The wedding. The wedding was not filled with joy, but with luxury and silence. The mansion was filled with guards in black suits, golden trays of jewelry, and guests who whispered behind their fans. Damien stood beside her, tall, muscular, his body marked with tattoos that told stories she could not read. His eyes were cold, unreadable. When he looked at her, Alina felt like she was not a bride, but a contract. Their marriage was announced to the world with grandeur, but in Damien's eyes, there was no warmth. That night, Alina stood in her new bedroom, surrounded by expensive furniture and silent walls. "This is not a marriage," Damien said calmly. "This is an agreement. You will have everything you want. But don't expect feelings from me." Alina looked at him quietly. "I never asked for feelings," she replied. For the first time, Damien seemed surprised. Life in the golden cage. Days passed, then weeks. Alina lived in luxury, but she felt like a bird in a golden cage. Servants obeyed her, guards followed her, and the world saw her as a lucky woman who married a billionaire. But no one knew the loneliness in her heart. Damien rarely spoke to her. He was cold, distant, always busy with business. People feared him, but Alina began to notice something else. Behind his cruelty, there was pain. One night, she saw him standing alone in the garden, staring at the sky. "Why do you hate everyone?" she asked softly. Damien looked at her sharply. "I don't hate everyone." "You do," she said calmly. "But not because you're cruel. Because you're hurt." Damien said nothing. But from that night, something began to change. The truth about Damien. Slowly, Damien started noticing Alina differently. She was not greedy like other women. She didn't demand diamonds or parties. She treated servants kindly. She helped poor people secretly. She never reminded him that he had bought her future. One day, Damien asked her, "Why don't you run away?" Alina smiled sadly. "Where would I go? My family needs me. And you are not as terrible as people say." Damien felt something he had never felt before. Guilt. He had grown up in betrayal. His mother abandoned him, his father taught him that emotions were weakness. He built his empire with cold logic, believing love was a lie. But Alina's quiet strength began breaking his walls. He started protecting her, not as property, but as someone precious. When people insulted her behind her back, he silenced them. When she felt tired, he made sure she rested. When she smiled, his world felt brighter. The rival. But not everyone was happy. Damien's enemies saw Alina as his weakness. One evening, during a grand party in the mansion, a shocking scene happened. A man was brought in, dirty, broken, kneeling inside an iron cage. "Who is he?" Alina asked, shocked. Damien's manager whispered, "He is a former business rival. He tried to destroy Mr. Blackwood." The man looked at Alina with desperate eyes. "Please, help me," he begged. Alina felt pain in her chest. She turned to Damien. "Is this necessary?" Damien looked at the man coldly, then at Alina. For years, he had believed power meant crushing others. But in that moment, he saw fear in Alina's eyes, not of the man, but of him. Slowly, he raised his hand. "Release him," Damien ordered. Everyone was stunned. That night, Alina realized something unbelievable. Damien was changing. Because of her. The turning point. Months passed, and Damien became a different man. He stopped using fear to control people. He started rebuilding his image. He listened to Alina's opinions. He even started smiling, a rare miracle. One night, Alina said quietly, "You don't need me anymore. My family's debts are paid. If you want, I can leave." Damien froze. "Leave?" he repeated. "Yes," she said softly. "Our marriage was a deal. I don't want to be a burden." Damien walked toward her slowly. "For the first time in my life," he said, his voice low, "I am afraid of losing someone." Alina looked at him in silence. "I didn't plan to fall for you," Damien continued. "But you changed me. You made me human again." Tears filled Alina's eyes. "I don't want a contract anymore," Damien said. "I want a real marriage. If you stay, stay because you want to, not because you have to." Alina looked at the man who was once called cruel and heartless. Now she saw someone vulnerable, honest, and deeply changed. "I will stay," she whispered. Not for her family. Not for money. But for him. A new beginning. The world was shocked when Damien Blackwood announced a charity foundation, rebuilt ruined families, and openly respected his wife. People who once feared him now admired him. And Alina was no longer a girl forced into marriage. She was the woman who transformed a ruthless billionaire into a man capable of love. In the same mansion where she once felt trapped, she now felt free. Because sometimes, the most beautiful love is born not from choice, but from destiny.